You Gong here, old Mr. Simple. Decided to do a fireside chat even though I'm not next to my fireplace, kind of copying what my last Sifu, Bob Amaker, used to do. I miss Bob a lot and I miss his fireside chats. But gives us a chance to chat in a way and to get things off my mind, which are a lot of ways in line with the Bob Amaker. And one of which that I see a lot of, especially in our lineage, the Cheng Man Ching lineage, is that people think the form is somehow sacrosanct. It can never be changed, it can never be practiced any differently. The way you were first taught it is the way you're going to do the form forever. I find that a lot in our lineage, and I don't know why. Bob Amaker also had this issue. As he evolved, as his understanding of Tai Chi deepened and broadened, as someone taught him about Chan Su Jing, the twining energy, which was instrumental in changing his practice and understanding of Tai Chi Chuan. His form evolved and changed. And he got a lot of flack from the Cheng Man Ching community about that. It's like, well, we like the way you used to do the form 20 years ago, but the way you're doing the form now is like, I don't know, it's sparks of heresy. Um, and that's what I call the totem fetish idea about Tai Chi forms or Qi Kung forms. Somehow there's a magical mystery form out there that if you find it, it's the holy grail. And if you just do it the right way, it's going to transform you into, you know, a Tai Chi master. You'll have incredible mystical powers, stuff like that. And in our tradition, it's like the way you were taught it by Cheng Man Ching, if you were lucky enough to be in New York at the Shizhong School, or you had one of the great first generation teachers, which were students of Cheng Man Ching, you have a tendency to idealize what they taught you and you keep to it unerringly forever. Now, I met a couple people who had been with a certain teacher who I admire greatly. And he was a long time companion, Tai Chi partner of Ben Lowe. And they would tell me in his class that, oh, I've been with so and so 17 years. I've been with him 18 years. I've been with him 20 years. And then I'd see their form and then I'd do push hands with them. And I'm like, you haven't been doing Tai Chi 17 years or 18 years or 20 years. You've been doing Tai Chi 1 year 17, 18, 20 times. They just never evolved. Um, and I see that a lot with some people is like, I had a elderly gentleman who learned the Cheng Man Ching form 30 years ago. And he came to class and he was trying it, my class out. And he was kind of taken aback a little. And he really didn't ask any questions, was kind of non participatory in some ways, went through the form, didn't want to stay for push hands, thanked me and left. Never heard from him again. Why? Because I didn't do the Tai Chi form the way his instructor was, whoever it was, did it 30 years ago. I also had a student, one of my first students, who learned the form based on my understanding and knowledge of Cheng Man Ching's form 10 years ago, 15 years ago, actually, looking at it now. And when she came back, because she took a hiatus to have some children and came back, she was kind of shocked and told one of my Tai Chi partners that Craig's changed the form. And I haven't changed the form. My practice of the form changed based on my level of understanding and knowledge. Same thing happened. I had this married couple, nice doctor. Um, we were doing the form in class one day, and it was allergy season, and I took Benadryl, and Benadryl makes me very loopy. So I did, I think it was like one too many repulse monkeys or one too many cloud hands. And in a whisper, which the entire class heard, was, he did one too many. He did one too many. Um, oh my God, a heresy. I did one too many repulse monkeys or cloud hands. Oh my God, I should be burned at the stake. And they never came back. Um, you can do as many, repulse monkeys or cloud hands you want to do. The rule of thumb usually is you do it in odd numbers 3, 5, 7, 9. and you do as many cloud hands back as you do repulse monkeys. So you end up in the same place when you finish the form. There is no magic number of doing repulse monkeys or cloud hands. I mean, there are no Taoist gods that are taking stock of how you're doing the form. And if you just don't do it the right way, you're not going to get your chi allowance for the week. Okay. So this totem fetish idea really needs to be overcome. We need to overcome it. And as your form evolves, it's going to become more rounded interior and exterior wise as you string the body together, being moved from the waist, as you follow the Tai Chi principles, as you become one substance, as Peng, real Peng arises to inflate you. Everything that happens is going to change your form. If it doesn't, you are practicing an ossified form. It's petrified. You are actually stopping your development to stick to an ideal in your mind, which is a fallacy. Your Tai Chi form, as it advances, will actually begin to look more like Bagua at the advanced level, especially when you get into Sanchao. I mean, that's the natural progression. You start out very linear in what is called the square Dao phase when you're learning the Tai Chi form. And I get that when Martin In one day in class drew on the whiteboard a square Dao symbol, and with the black and whites being square and boxy. And I loved it. I hope he doesn't mind I borrowed it from him. But the square Dao phase is the linear phase that when you learn the Tai Chi form. And you're taught the Tai Chi form actually wrongly because it's the only way, or I should say incorrectly, because it's the only way you can learn it. You have to shift your weight and then turn your waist. Everything is boxy, everything is linear, everything is clunky. You're like a square wagon wheel. Clunk, 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 clunk. Why? Because it's the only way you can learn. Now, as you evolve and change, your waist turns as your weight shifts, as you sink from one leg to the other. Things begin moving in more natural, rounded ways. But if you stick to the way you did the form originally in the square Dao phase, you're actually limiting yourself. I mean, there's elements of the principles you can get really good at doing in the square Dao phase, but you're constipated. You're stuck forever constipated, never evolving. And I think it's a white belt disease. It's what I call the white belt disease. A white belt comes to a martial arts class and learns something a certain way. And then they believe in their limited knowledge that that's always the way to do it. And it's not true. But because you don't know any better because you're a white belt, you'll continue doing it. And then when you step out of the stream, say you stop practicing Tai Chi Chuan, you stop practicing whatever it is, and you then come back 10, 20, 30 years later, even if it's the same instructor, he's doing things a little differently. You should expect that. If you suddenly have a shock saying, oh my God, Sifu so-and-so isn't doing it the way we used to do it, I'm having conniption fit. The problem isn't with your teacher. The problem's with you. You have a white belt mentality and you're projecting white belt ideas onto your martial arts. Every martial art evolves. If it doesn't evolve, it's petrified and dead. You're basically practicing a dead form. And we have to get over that. We have to get over this totem fetish idea. I mean, Bob Amaker had that issue. I mean, if you go to White Crow, Tai Chi Chuan, and I recommend go to White Crow, watch Bob Amaker's videos. I mean, you'll be shocked. If you are a Cheng Man Ching purist and part of the choir, you'll have a conniption fit because it doesn't look like anything you're used to seeing. That doesn't make it incorrect. It just makes it that it's something you're not used to seeing and practicing a certain way. And if you don't let your practice evolve, you're going to be stuck in either the square Dao phase or what I call the next phase is the octagon Dao phase, which is you're more rounded, but you're like an octagon, like a stop sign. So your wheel is still clunky, 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 but it's more rounded on your way to getting to the round Dao phase. So you need to do an evolutionary progression in your Tai Chi Chuan, but always using the Tai Chi principles. The one thing you stick to religiously is the Tai Chi principles, the Tai Chi classics. Now, there's issues with those too, because they're basically designed to trick you into doing the correct things as you develop and progress. But they are the one compass point, the compass needle that points you in the right direction. Never leave the Tai Chi principles. But your form should evolve as your understanding, practice, and experience of the Tai Chi principles get deeper and broader. Anyway, that's my 2 cents of it. Have a great week.